Oh God.
So, Kiten, please make me an.
Yes,
Ooh, this is effectively a perception roll. So,
I'm good at it. It's fine.
control security to just maintain awareness of your environment.
That'd be insight. Like control is like finding
Control?
about our stuff.
Yeah, no,
Or
alright. Insight
inside?
security is fine.
Thank God.
Oh, okay. If that's better for you, roll
Okay.
insight security. I was thinking you might not have such good insight.
Yes. I have a very high inside. My security is trash, man. My inside is fine. So I'll be using momentum to buy die. What's the difficulty?
Difficulty's 1. Trivial.
I buy momentum just to be sure. I use momentum to buy a die just to be sure.
Okay. And I am going to add 2 threat to the pool to make the complication range 18 and above.
It's fine. Yes, it's fine. I have. I don't think in my focuses xenobiology would apply here or not.
No, xenobiology wouldn't apply. This is just a straight spot check, effectively.
Okay, so 3 successes.
3 successes. Okay, so that'll top you back up to 6 momentum. No, I'm not going to let you have 8 momentum. Pesky rules, curse them. But you notice the fact that Perel has stood up from the table and wandered over. Well, sorry. While you're this is actually while you're taking having some food. So they've found themselves a handsome-looking young Bjorn officer and have made their presence known, as it were.
Fuck me.
Just as well this is an 18+ stream.
Okay.
Although I
Okay,
suspect that's more the
which
vibe that
it's
Perella's going for.
yeah, it's pretty. No, I should have suspected. Um, I'm gonna approach. How far away she is?
I mean, distance doesn't really matter. I mean, a few meters.
Yeah, I'll just approach and uh, how tall is Bro? Just give me a rough.
She's like 5'7".
Yeah, she's smaller. Okay, so Kitten's gonna lean over and uh, get near her ear and say, if you're not gonna act professionally and respect the Federation protocol, then I'll have to ask you to return to ship. Are we clear?
Perfectly, Lieutenant.
I thought so.
Okay, so what happens now?
Now uh, I'm gonna kindly pull uh, the CPO over and pretending to as show them a kind of food and ask their opinion, but pull her away from the guy she was annoying.
Okay, Perel, can I get you to make an insight security check?
You probably can't.
Or you can actually make this insight command, thinking about it.
Oh, that makes it much harder. However, I managed to get 2
Okay, it was a one success task. The one difficulty task. So you notice that this Bajoran officer who you had sort of wrapped yourself uh, around now looks very disappointed, and they're blushing over the fact that they look so disappointed.
Well, that sounds like a him problem.
Yes, it does. Uh, Wonderful. So, how is there a particular way in which you disengage? Can you describe how that happens?
Once Keaton is finished whispering in Perel's ear, Perel looks at the Bajoran officer and says, "Excuse me, I am needed elsewhere." And then she gets up and goes off to see whatever Keaton is trying to show her about food.
Okay, fair enough. Um, so it's all fairly standard diplomatic protocol at this point. It hasn't become a party yet, despite Perel's efforts, and everyone seems to be making small talk, um, exchanging ideas, talking about the sort of lofty goals of the Kazinti, aka the Federation, and uh, speaking at length about well, they're speaking at length about their technology and seem to be asking probing questions about, what principles do your warp drives work on, all those sorts of things. How are they configured? What's the your nacelles look a little oddly configured at the moment for warp propulsion, but do they fold out for warp travel, etc., etc., etc. And of course, they've seen. Actually, no, they haven't. So anyway, um, so they seem to be quite technically. I mean, sort of mid 22nd century Earth advanced in terms of their technology. Um, Except they haven't cracked teleportation. Or at least they seem to be pretty clear that they haven't. Um, and this idea of teleportation, they say, so how does it work? And prompt you to explain how the teleportation system scans you down to the quantum level and stores your atoms in a teleportation buffer and then reassembles them elsewhere and all that sort of. And they're like horrified by this. Oh,
Yeah,
Doesn't it hurt when
And
you've been
um,
pulled apart at that level and reassembled? How do you guarantee that you are the same person at the other end?
hmm uh, that's an interesting question. I mean, that's something you ask the player. I have no idea, so I don't know how to answer.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is basically that this is a technology that's become so heavily used in the Federation that no one really thinks by the Kazinti that no one really thinks about it anymore. Uh,
Yeah. I just made sure to point out that the earlier versions were known to kind of be dangerous and kill the people trying to transport. So there was something that we had to work really hard on perfecting.
Indeed. So they are particularly interested in the Klingar story. Um, did they ask you, do you have some sort of stealth technology on your vessel? It's the only way we can see you having been able to steal your way through their territory without having having found their the Klingar and encountering their territorial nature. Explain how that does how that happened, and I will also acknowledge the arrival of Floof on Nick Slap.
Yeah, I I wouldn't say it was easy, but we had a close encounter then, or a couple, I'd say. But our ship is very good at maneuvering and fast into going to warp, so we more than not are able to avoid confrontation and escape from whichever system that seems to be a problem, and just try to avoid conflict by make sure that we can use our sensors and catch whatever danger we can beforehand. Be prepared.
I see. Um, Meanwhile, someone is talking to Ray and asking about sensors. So, what sort of sensors does your ship have? It must be fairly capable to be able to make its way through the through this area of space and all the anomalies.
Sensors are not my specialty, but I do know that we are blessed with a very complete and long range sensor.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, sensors technology is one aspect that we have not really mastered yet. We found that active sensors are the most efficient thing, but they have to kind of bounce off something and then come back to us. Our ability to detect passive signals is we have some tech capability in that area. We've managed to figure out how to detect quite a number of exotic particle types and that sort of thing, but we are um, well, we're somewhat tradition bound when it comes to that. We do like to innovate, but we like to innovate in a way that respects the precepts of those who've come before us.
That is a very solid philosophy.
Thank you. We are proud of the progress we've made with that philosophy in mind. And meanwhile, another Bajon is talking to Nick's um, Ensign Kasagi.
Kisaki.
Kasaki, sorry. Saying, so Ensign, please, how does procreation in your society work? I mean, we're curious. Is it I mean, is it just standard sexual two binary sex? Is it three sex? Is it four sex? Are there preliminary fertilization processes? This is clearly a biologist who's very intrigued about these sorts of prospects.
We only have the two sexes, but there we have encountered species with many.
Yes,
The process.
sorry, we have two, which is why I asked the question. It's such an intriguing aspect of social development, and it creates such interesting psychological variances as well.
Yes, there's many differences there. We mostly tend to, I believe, do it the standard way compared to other species we have met, at least as far as mammals.
I see. So, insemination, as it were. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I won't get bogged down on the details there, but it's an interesting field, and this third aspect, is it common in your people? In our people, we've only really had the minimal hair on our bodies for most of our time in space, but your species seems to have evolved in a perhaps a cooler climate, one where the additional body hair has well, shall I say, come in handy?
Very much so. It was quite surprising when we voyaged on the stars and found so many bald, bald for lack of a better word, species.
Intriguing. And it, obviously, your species does not perspire a great deal. Then, I mean, keeping that amount of body hair clean and fragrance free must be kind of difficult, or is it perhaps the case that the fragrance is, shall I say, part of the appeal? Um, uh, that you are a species that builds much of your social interaction on the fragrances that you build up, and like a very pheromonal species.
To an extent, not pheromones quite as much as you might think, and we are very clean. However, we do find the hair has certain advantages in protection beyond just the cold. For we are very surprised that other species have such small nicks and things they seem to get all the time from handling common items.
Oh, so your skin is somewhat thicker as well. Interesting. Cut to who is Ulfric's character? Flick. Flick. So Ensign Flick, it's been fascinating discussing the supply issue with you. So you're telling me you have the ability to just call foodstuffs into being? How intriguing!
There is sometimes. One might say a limited selection.
Oh, I see. Okay. Is that a supply limitation, or is that? I mean, how does that thing work? I mean, obviously there must be some sort of store of matter for your replicators to function correctly. Yes.
Yeah, totally. And at this point, because I created a character who is in engineering, they are going to launch into an overly complicated explanation full of all kinds of technobabble on how replicators work.
Okay, so talking about how they use the teleporter technology to reconstitute the food, but using the matter stored from from the replicator stores, etc. Gotcha. All good. Happy, happy, happy.
But way more syllables. Way more syllables.
Yes, way more syllables and wonderful. All right. Key 10. Um, the Beltran uh, is starting to get to the point where they've heard enough, and they say, "Please, everyone, take your seats." Um, and there are two tables either side of the room, and they say, and once everyone sort of takes a seat in their appropriate place in the room, they say, "Well, it's this is certainly a very special occasion, and we are very grateful for your presence in our space. It's we have rarely met a species so much like ourselves, but also so different. Um, it's been fascinating to just wander the room and overhear the conversations that people have been having. I am uh, I'm intrigued by the possibilities of what might be between our species in the future. Um, and as he says this, he looks over at Perel and throws a sly wink. Um, and then says, "Baby steps, though."
Babies, yes.
Oh. Well done. Well played.
Meanwhile, Kitain is in his mind. This is so gonna go into her file.
Ah, magnificent.
Kitain will remember this.
So, he continues after recovering his composure after after that comment. Somewhat discombobulated by that. Yes, okay. Well, as I was saying, it seems that despite some initial distrust on your side, that we share a lot of values and we are capable of doing great things together. So we are very much interested in pursuing a further relationship with the Gazinti moving forward. And he checks to see if Perel responds to that, but apparently not, and somewhat more disappointed, carries on. So we are quite pleased to have you among us. We will happily send you a map of uh, the star systems in our immediate area. Those that we've settled and explored, we'll share some data with you. If you could perhaps reciprocate by sharing some of the star maps from your own travels, that would be very helpful indeed. I mean, we still are in occasional contact with Bjorn, with Bjor, and are at this point I have to interrupt the stream to yell cat butt, as as Ensign Ray needs to be mama to baby as well. Um, sorry. So we would like to present you with a small token of our appreciation for being so open with us, and we hope that you would be even more open with us in the future. And they pull forth a stack of what looks to be a bunch of relatively primitive isolinear data chips and an interfacing unit. And they say we hope that you'll be able to find a way to match this data collection with your own. If there's any way that you could reciprocate by sending us some information of your people and records of your travels, that would be very much appreciated. But failing that, we would love a commitment from you that you will respect our space, let us know of your comings and goings from our zone of space, and well, quite frankly, keep us up to date with any discoveries that you might happen to make. You seemed to be a little troubled by the fact of our allies who provided us with these subspace weapons that cause these anomalies that provide such a useful barrier between our space and the Klingar. But if you should encounter them, please pass on our regards. We do not we do not hold them in any kind of contempt, and we are grateful for their assistance in our time of need.
Could you offer us any insight? Is there anything in particular that you found really helpful in your negotiations, or anything that might ease our way?
Well, the species concerned are a little, how do I put this, xenophobic. They occupy a strip of space. So we are, from the Klingar perspective, their space ends some light years to the southwest, and we claim territory along either flank of the space that immediately joins that. But down the center of that space there is this section of space occupied by these others, and really their only condition for providing us with that weaponry is that we respect their borders and do not enter their space. They are so xenophobic, in fact, that they wouldn't actually give us the true name of their species, but they did give us a name through which we could call them, and it was along the lines of the Carnians. The Carney. The Carney it was. Sorry, my bad. I was misremembering. So yes, they called themselves the Carney, to others, but said that that is not their true need.
I understand. We we are happy to agree with your requests.
I mean,
Um,
if you would be so kind as to respect the same level of discretion when it comes to not interfering with the carney, that would be very much appreciated. Um, we would hate for them to see travellers from our space enter theirs and break a, a well-established treaty obligation.
yes, of course, that wouldn't be ideal. We will agree with your requests. Don't be worried about it. Um, if I can make a personal request, though,
Absolutely, you can always ask. We may not say yes, but we will always listen to the question.
um, what would it be? Um, would it be possible for you to share some of your